Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 4 of our F1 2003 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a few days ago from Shanghai, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. A race-long battle between myself and our teammate Michael Schumacher came down to the very last lap and the very final corners. But it was Michael who made it 3 wins from 3 to kickstart this season. The German leading the Drivers' World Championship. Ferrari, we are leading the Constructors. In fact, Michael would be leading that by himself so far this season. Just ahead of myself, David Coulthard and Fernando Alonso. So far, Williams and McLaren, it has been very, very close between their two teams. But so far, 2003 Ferrari have been a little bit of a dominant force as well. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed to the channel as well. We are trying to hit 140k before F1 25 releases. Also, if you aren't already and you want to consider helping us just a little bit more, click the join button down below. It costs just £1 a month and you get early access to all the videos as well. But yeah, without further ado then, let's head back to Barcelona. Well, second qualifying session in a row then. It's going to see some changeable conditions here. Unfortunately, this time, we've had to take a 5-place grid penalty as well, though, for a new gearbox going into the back of the car. So let's wait and see whether we can make it 3 pole positions in the opening 4 Grand Prix. Of course, the Ferrari last weekend worked really well out in Shanghai in these slippery kind of conditions. But yeah, obviously, it looks as well still the car to beat once we got into Sunday's race, but we're definitely going to be starting a little bit further down the order, so I guess it won't technically count as a pole position anyway this weekend, so I'll just try and get the nose tipped in through this tight technical middle sector. Of course, this is kind of the first real test of a proper high downforce circuit this season, and of course will give us an idea of how things are looking as we head towards Monte Carlo next time out. Then is up through camps are definitely not flat out at the moment, and just trying to keep up with Michael. As you can see, he's definitely carrying a lot more straight line speed than us. Down in through the hairpin we go. Oh, a little bit understeery. Maybe just trying to take a bit too much of the modern line through there. It's always refreshing coming back to this version of Barcelona because it makes me remember just how much better the new version is of this circuit. So we try and throw the car between the curbs and this horrible final chicane on the lap. Then really got to try and throw the car through, but be gentle on the steering on the exit. Power down on the run towards the line. Is it going to be pole position? Yes, it is. 3 in the first 4 races. Well, I think there might be a slight bug for the rest of the teams here. I don't believe any other team has access to intermediate tyres, so Ferrari in these conditions have quite the advantage over everybody else. Once again, though, the Renault's looking pretty good. Jenson Button stopping a McLaren second row lockout, but it's a good job the race is going to be dry because I've got no idea what we're going to do in slippery conditions later on this season. We'll line up P6, though, just behind Fernando Alonso. Again, Juan Pablo Montoya seemingly struggling on a Saturday afternoon, but anything can happen as we head into the race.
Welcome along then to what promises to be another fascinating Spanish Grand Prix, a race which saw Max Verstappen win on his first ever appearance with the Red Bull team in 2016. This after the dramatic coming together of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg on the first lap. Will we see more moments for the scrapbook here today? The Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, a track that will certainly force the drivers to push themselves. It consists of a very impressive main straight going into turn 1. It's a straight that also offers a DRS zone, so it's likely to be a hot spot for overtakes. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. They've had to change their gearbox. It's never a good start to a Grand Prix when right off the bat you have to contend with a grid penalty.
Well, at the end of the day, it's always better to take some pain now than parking it up halfway through the Grand Prix. Let's just hope they can put that new gearbox to good use and get the results they're looking for.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
Yep, that is the goal today. Try and make sure that we score some big points again. You know, Michael Schumacher, he has walked away so far this season. We have to start beating him. I know I say it every single race weekend, but we have to try and get ahead of the German sooner rather than later. That points gap is just going to get bigger and bigger otherwise. And with him starting P1 and us down in P6, that is going to be a very tall order this weekend. Waiting on the grid, though, for those 5 red lights. Can I finally get a good start in this Ferrari car? Lights out, and away we go there, and finally we've had some pretty good hookup on the run in towards Turn 1. Hopefully we're going to try and challenge there as Schumacher having to go defensive from Coulthard and Jensen. Button just about will stay in front of them. Hello. Alexander Wirtz there clearly didn't spot me still down the inside. That's slightly alarming, but luckily we'll get away with it. There was Coulthard. We'll immediately try and get around Jensen. Button, huge wash of understeer, pushing the front end out of our car, and Renault. Again, early on, they definitely seem to be a threat. Button moving back a bit of P2, and you would expect this circuit to suit their car a little bit more, because obviously, yeah, they've done really well in kind of the high downforce conditions there. Montoya as well, thinking about trying to go for a move on this opening lap on us, and luckily, again, we would just be able to hang on ahead of him there, as Button actually seems to be making some slight inroads against Michael Schumacher at the front of the order here. Could we potentially have a look for a move down the inside of Wirtz? Really nice line through Campser. Oh, we just nicked the back of Alonso. That could have been the front wing gone, but I think we'll get away with it that time round. That was... My life flashed before my eyes there in this Grand Prix, but it really does look like Button's got some good pace in that Renault car. Let's not forget, when you factor in Brazil at the end of last year, Ferrari have won the last 4 Grand Prix in a row. Could we make it 5 today? There's Alonso, you can definitely see there. Tiny bit of damage on the rear wing of that car. That might have been where we ran into the back of him. And we have a look for a run back in towards Turn 1. We will try and go for it. Get it slowed down there. Alonso will try and switch me on the exit, though. So again, we kind of get all out of shape over the curbing. And really trying to make moves happen early on. Round the outside through Turn 3. Just about found the grip in the end. And we have finally made some progress in this race. Raikkonen there, just struggling to get the power down slightly out of the final corner, as we will set a new fastest lap of the day, opting for quite a high downforce setup, as you would expect, around this circuit, and it really is working for us early on. Of course, the first few laps, we've just got to try and get the tyres up to temperature, and after that we can really focus on trying to fill the mirrors of these cars in front. Raikkonen, his best race definitely back at Albert Park. Since then, Coulthard does seem to have had the measure of him. But every team with a slightly different traction control system, and you can see how well that's worked for us. Raikkonen, though, definitely with a bit more straight line speed over me. So as he tries to defend in towards Turn 1 there, of course. Probably the best opportunity on the entire lap to go for moves. Just like we did on Alonso, we will go around him at Turn 1. I think I saw yellow flags out a little bit further behind. I don't know if someone's retired from the race. Nothing's flashed up, so I will assume everybody is still running. But I really do think we seem to have the car to beat so far today. Maybe some of the fresh components helping us out a little bit as well. But another new fastest lap of the day then, as Coulthard will try and go defensive. Others have tried DC, and again, we will just about get around him there, using the camber on the outside of Turn 1, and up then back into the podium places. I mean, like I said though, Button, he is not dropping away from Michael Schumacher right now. We are still obviously trying to bring upgrades to the car, but it seems, yeah, that Renault, on a circuit like this that suits them, I'm kind of looking at Monaco next weekend, thinking they could be a really big threat there, because that car is starting to come alive. Well, I wonder if Schumacher now has noticed us in the mirrors and has started trying to up the pace. Button seems to have enough to handle it at the moment, but DC and Kimi Raikkonen definitely just starting to fall away a little bit over these last couple of laps. Let's see if we can get a run then on Button. He might just have a bit more straight line speed, a bit more power. Italian horsepower versus French. And that time around we couldn't quite make it happen there, but Button offline through Turn 1 and Turn 2. Problem, of course, is the more I fight with our fellow Brit, the better chance Michael's got to get away again. Just a huge wash of understeer through Turn 3. Normally, the car's fine. Occasionally, it just understeers like a oil tanker. Well then, round 2 against Jensen. We've been able to carve our way up through the order pretty quickly. Well, so far, Jensen's Button clearly wants to put a bit of a fight on it at the moment. That was back into Turn 1. And that time round, he gets his braking point nailed, but not nailed enough there. We run a little bit wide through turn 2, but we might just be able to defend from him on the exit of the corner and back then into familiar Ferrari territory of 1 and 2 right now. Will Schumacher up the pace just a bit more like we saw in Shanghai? Or are we going to be able to try and rein in our teammate? Barcelona, for whatever reason, every season we've done so far this series, this seems to be the circuit that we kind of figure out how to drive the car underneath us. We won here, I remember, definitely in 2001. I can't remember if we won here last season as well, but I just love this place, apparently. Last weekend, Ferrari kind of screwed me through the pit stop window. They put a new front wing on the wagon when I definitely didn't need one. I've told them categorically this time, do not give us a new front wing during this pit stop. But yeah, the overcut didn't really work. And I'm kind of a bit worried with Button, Coulthard, and Raikkonen still so close behind that, you know, we're not going to be able to pit and not get held up by them unless we kind of try and go for a gamble. I think we're going to try and pit at the end of this lap, pray that we don't come out in too much traffic, and see if we can get the tyres up to temperature and try and get ahead of Michael Schumacher. Tyre wear on the hard shouldn't be much of a problem. It's definitely a bit of a risky one, but we've kind of got to try and do something at the moment, because otherwise the German is just going to keep chalking up victories early on this year. Does make me chuckle, kind of the 1 year where Schumacher wasn't particularly dominant throughout 2000 to 2004 was 2003 IRL, and so far this season, well, he is just absolutely controlling things. Oh, I could have potentially had a look for a move down the inside at the chicane. What will make that happen though is into the pit lane. We will come then at the end of lap 12, try and go nice and aggressive on the entry. Make sure I don't get done for speeding though. Nicely slowed down into the pits then. And come on, Ferrari, give me a good pit stop this time. Definitely no wing going on the car, which is fantastic. 2.8 seconds we cannot complain about here, as Olivier Panis, Anthony Davidson just at the bottom of your top 10. Those are the cars we want to come out ahead of in this GP, as here comes Panis on the run back in towards turn 1. We will just come out behind him. Hopefully we'll stay out ahead of Davidson though. So we've only got one car to navigate and then a 13-second gap to Montoya. Safe to say your big four teams are slightly dominant. Well, Olivier Panis so far, his return to Formula 1 has been pretty successful. Running up in the points here in Barcelona, but oh, we will get down the inside there. Tiny bit of contact, because I don't think he was expecting me to try and go for it yet. We've got to make the moves though, especially before this final sector where we can be so fast. We can get the gap under about 10 seconds to Montoya. I want to believe the undercut on Schumacher might work. Oh, look at that, 121.2. New fastest lap of the Grand Prix then. We went over a second faster than Montoya on that last lap. I can only assume we're going a lot quicker than Schumacher as well. Now we just got to wait for our teammate to pit, which might be pretty soon here. Surely this undercut's going to happen. There we got Michael Schumacher. Schumacher into the pit lane then. So this is going to be the moment of truth in this Grand Prix. Have we been able to make the undercut work? Is this going to kind of be the play now throughout the rest of the year? Oh, big snap oversteer to try and push the car to the limit through the final chicane. But where is Michael Schumacher going to re-emerge then in this race? We bottle a new fastest lap attempt there, but where is Michael? There he is! And we are ahead of our teammate then, quite comfortably ahead of him. So we make our way back out onto the circuit there. We've got about a 1.5 second buffer. So that has worked out fantastically. He's pit slightly earlier though than a lot of other runners here. So very, very interesting to see kind of whether Button might be able to get in the mix. There we go then. All the AI now starting to peel in. Fernando Alonso into the box. And, well, Ferrari's 7th and 8th right now. Doesn't sound particularly good on paper. But we know the strategy will come back to us there as Jenson Button as well. We're comfortably ahead of him. So is Michael. So I think Ferrari have still got a little bit extra in the back pocket. But, yeah, that delta, especially on a circuit that suits the Renault, is definitely coming down. And as we cross half distance then, we should get official confirmation around about now then. Coulthard, Montoya, Alexander Wurz, your last three front runners in. So we are back into top spot then. I think that's pretty much... No, we led some laps, didn't we, back in Australia. And then out in Bahrain. We did lead for brief corners in Shanghai. But yeah, I think we've led every race so far this year. But that hasn't proven to be a particularly good omen so far. Really are just trying to control this race at the front of the order, but as the fuel burns off, Schumacher is definitely getting quicker and quicker here. That gap now back below 2 seconds in this race. I feel like we're still able just to hold him back. But if he gets inside the DRS, we could be in real trouble. Okay, well, I was too busy worried about Michael Schumacher. I hadn't even noticed that Jenson Button now has just set a new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so if that doesn't prove that Renault have got some really good pace here, I don't know what else will. That's 3/10 quicker than I've been able to manage, and I think Schumacher, his best lap is another couple of tenths off of mine. Yep, Jenson Button, that car is definitely a threat towards the end of the afternoon. Raikkonen as well, not a million miles away, but both Ferraris maybe, as the fuel burns off, starting to get a little bit exposed here. We've got a few lapped cars that we're probably going to have to deal with as well, so hopefully they won't cause too many problems. But Button now is going half a second a lap faster than either Ferrari. That thing is rapid. Oh, we've got yellows, I think Schumacher maybe has issues? No, seems to be okay. I think it's Button. Jenson Button, so no matter what he done to that car, it has not worked for Renault then, and, well, suddenly the one big threat in this Grand Prix is going to be out of it. Maybe tried to put the car in a different fuel mode or didn't realise he had. So it had a lot of pace for a couple of laps, but has immediately gone bang. Button out of the Grand Prix. And say he's held up Raikkonen as well in the process. Kimi doing a very good job now up into the podium places. But suddenly that threat against Ferrari has immediately calmed back down. Jenson then, actually our first mechanical failure of the day, but I know we spoke about it last weekend. Jaguar, they are really having a torrid time so far this season. Mark Webber running last place right now, stuck behind both of the Minardi cars. Whether he can get a run back on him in towards turn 1, I have no idea there, but will claim a little bit of slipstream off of the Jaguar back towards that first corner, and, well, they desperately need a big resurgence. Maybe Webber's 2 stopping. That's the only thing I can think of, because Barrichello seems to be a long way up the road, but it's Felipe Massa then the next Minardi, or just in the way. Again, that understeer through turn 3 is really noticeable in these cars, but we're just trying to put some cars between myself and Michael. Nick Heidfeld there, Nick Heidfeld there, tried to move out of the way and then kind of just follows the racing line. Not really a lot he could do, but again, we'll navigate him pretty safely. I think we're going to have to try and get around both Jordans, so whether Ralf Schumacher will want to help out his brother, only time will tell. But yeah, such a shame. Yeah, tyres feel fine at the moment, thanks Chris, but yeah, definitely, such a shame for teams like Jordan, and Jaguar that we battled with so many times in this series, just like they did IRL. Watching their downfall as the seasons progress really is quite sad. We got Ralf Schumacher, thank you very much, buddy. Lets us by, and hopefully it's only his teammate Takuma Sato left to let us through. I really am thinking maybe for 2004 there's been rumours kind of about potential driver swaps. There are talks from a couple of teams about potentially trying to create a Schumacher dynasty in the sport. We kind of got a precursor to it back before the 1999 career mode broke when Ralph and Michael were at Ferrari together. But yeah, there are rumours that it could happen again through another team up and down the grid. Oh, so there we go, Schumacher. Fastest lap bonus points tend not to be that relevant inside this series, but it does kind of give you a little bit of bragging rights as well. Of course, just the way the mod works, sadly, the AI on the last lap of a race will pretty much always go about 6-7 seconds a lap faster. But as we navigate our way around Takuma Sato there, almost outbreaks himself into the back of me. Schumacher trying to go for fastest laps. Maybe final lap will have to do one attempt. Oh, what's happened? I think we've lost a Jaguar late on in the day. I think that's a Jaguar. Let's go find out. Well, if you thought Mark Webber's day couldn't get bad enough, then trying to let some of the other cars by, and annoyingly for him, a mechanical failure here with just a handful of laps to go. Surprised that's a safety car at this stage, but according to that, my engine's blowing up as well. That's not ideal. Oh, Raikkonen. Why has Raikkonen picked up a 5-second penalty under safety car? I've literally just seen that one flash up then, so not too sure what Kimi has done, but luckily for Michael and I, There's plenty of these back markers that are in the way between ourselves and the McLaren man, but effectively, F1 has just reset this Grand Prix with a 2-lap sprint towards the checkered flag. Our tyres aren't feeling particularly good, but will Schumacher be able to do anything against us there as we try and put the power down at the final corner to get as big a jump as we possibly can there? And it looks like we've done a pretty good job this time round with it. 2 laps to go here from Barcelona then, and will Schumacher be able to get a run back on me in towards turn 1? He is gaining, but he won't quite get close enough that time round. I'm sure he will keep the tempo up though, as he has definitely got fresher tyres than me, sorry, I should say. But again, the dirty air that kind of hits these Ferraris can make a big difference through the corners. Lines like that won't help me though. Come on. Well, there has got to be a statement of intent through these final couple of laps here. The gap now to Michael up to 1.2 seconds. So we make our way through the final corner, and this might be about to become fastest lap of the day as well, as we are trying to use up any spare fuel we've got left in the tank. 120.4 there. We will obliterate the fastest lap previously set in this GP, but will we be able to go any quicker on this last lap then? I think Michael Schumacher might just have accepted defeat today for the first time this year. It is not going to be the German, hopefully, is not going to claim victory this season. But Ferrari, though, still just looking like we got a little bit extra over everybody else, especially late on, especially after we got a bit lucky with the traffic. But a new fight from Renault. McLaren as well, looking pretty good, and well, you can never discount Williams. It only takes one little bit of Adrian Newey genius inside this series to help out Williams' fortunes as well inside this game. Another improvement through Sector 1, really carrying the speed up through Kampser. We took our first win for Ferrari last season out in Monaco, but for McLaren, our first win came here. For Schumacher, his first win came here as well. It's not going to be our first win in red, but it is going to be the first one this season, and exactly what we needed to do. Through the final corners, Barcelona once again is going to go our way. We are figuring out this car. We are figuring out how to beat Michael Schumacher, and we are figuring out how to take P1.
Another Spanish Grand Prix is over, and what a special race it was. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Well, there we are then, finally P1 for ourselves there, and finally showcasing that Michael Schumacher this season can be beaten. A 119.9 as well last lap. Very, very happy with that one there. And Fernando Alonso, because of Raikkonen's penalty, will walk away with an unlikely podium at his home Grand Prix as well there. David Coulthard in 4th ahead of the sole remaining Renault of Alexander Wurz. Montoya again, a tough race for him, just ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. Anthony Davidson, Olivier Panis, and I believe that is, Jacques Villeneuve that rounds out the top 10. For some reason, Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo like to appear inside this mod from time to time there. Just Button and Webber, who both failed to see the checkered flag. Let's take a look at our World Championship standings then. The gap at the top back down now to just 26 points behind between myself and Michael. Fernando Alonso still in P3 ahead of DC there. Montoya ahead of Raikkonen. Wurz ahead of Panis there, with Baumgartner and Anthony Davidson now tied on 10 points in those BAR cars. Still just the Jordans, Jaguars and Minardis yet to score. Constructors-wise, you can see Ferrari now 66 clear of Williams. Renault jumped BAR despite the mechanical failure, and Sauber down to 6th. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the jewel in the crown. We'll be back for the Monaco Grand Prix.